Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Text 16. Evang vi prakrite loke Daityandranu charai muhu Divang deva paridyajya Bhuvi cheru alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Daite dhranu charai muhu Divang deva paridyajya Bhuvi cheru alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Daitye dhranu charai muhu Divang deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Daitye dhranu charai muhu Divang deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha
Evam viprakrite loke
Evam viprakrite loke
Daityandranu charairmuhu
Daityandranu
Divam deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Divam deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha
Evam viprakrite loke Daityandranu
Divam deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Daityandranu charairmuhu Divam deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Daityandranu charairmuhu Divam deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Daityandranu charairmuhu Divam deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha Evam viprakrite loke Daityandranu charairmuhu Divam deva parityajya Bhuvi cherur alakshitaha
Evam thus Viprakrite being disturbed Loke when all the people Daitya Indra Anucharai by the followers of Hiranyakashipu the king of the Daityas Muhu again and again Divam the heavenly planets Devaha the demigods. Parityajya, giving up, bhuvi, on the planet Earth, Cheru, wandered to the extent of the disturbances, alakshitaha, unseen by the demons. Translation. Thus disturbed again and again by the unnatural occurrences caused by the followers of Hiranyakashipu, all the people had to cease the activities of Vedic culture. Not receiving the results of yajna, the demigods also became disturbed. They left their residential quarters in the heavenly planets and, unobserved by the demons, began wandering on the planet Earth to see the disasters.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not inconvenient. You could kindly speak into the mic because behind it's not.
Are you not hearing me? Okay.
Speak into the mic.
Sorry. Purport. Ooh. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, wow. The performance of yajna brings reciprocal good fortune for both the human beings and the demigods. When the performances of yajna were stopped by the disturbances of the demons, the demigods were naturally bereft of the results of yajna and hampered in executing their respective duties. Therefore they came down to the planet Earth to see how the people had become disturbed and to consider what to do. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nice to be with all of you, mostly for the first time, but not everybody. I'm going to try something, because we just came from Mayapur Dham, and I was reading in the Navadvip Mahatmya, you know that book? Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he said that anyone who chants loudly Nitai Chaitanya will develop love of God. So can we try that? Nitai Chaitanya. Oh, you guys are good. Nitai Chaitanya. Nitai Chaitanya. Okay, who's feeling it? Anybody? Probably. He is. Okay. Wow. You guys are still good, but I gotta be honest with you. I'm only feeling it a little bit. The next verse he chants, he says, and tears will flow from their eyes. Let's see. Any tears out there? He says in there that every one step that you take in Navadvip Dham is equal to 10 million horse sacrifices. What does that mean? So when we were there, we were averaging about 20,000 steps per day. So let's just round it off to, we took about 200, 300,000 steps. Can you imagine how pious I am now? In the Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami marvels at the cowherd boys. He says, Krita Punyaja. And he said, can you imagine what kind of piety these boys have done to be playing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So as we were stepping around Mayapur, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's an awful lot of piety. I don't really know what the result of one horse sacrifice is, but you can imagine the devotees who live there every day, step, 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 step. So we just chanted Nitai Chaitanya, and for the most part, tears are not rolling from our eyes and like torrents of rain or anything. So what does it mean when these kind of benedictions, what does it mean? It means they don't come right away. This life, next life. A lot of times it'll say, very soon they will develop love for God. What's very soon? Is it 1 day of Brahma? Is it 2 days of Brahma? That's very soon for him. Is it 3 days of Brahma? That's what, what is it, 411 trillion, 300 million years? Is one day? I think so. So very soon, the tears will be coming. When I was in Mauritius back in, where was that? 1975, Prabhupada came for a few days and stayed with us. And so one day we're out on the morning walk as usual, and in Mauritius there was a lot of sugar cane. So they're harvesting the sugar cane and the trucks are going by, and there's these boys, I say they were probably in their 20s or something, and they go by and they see us walking on the beach with Srila Prabhupada. And they go, Dam, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. You know that one? They think we're pot smokers or something. Is that how it goes? Yeah. They're just smoking something. So they're mocking us. So one of the devotees asks Srila Prabhupada, when they chant Hare Krishna like that, what happens? And Prabhupada tilts his head. You know that we used to tilt his head up like, they are liberated. So as far as I could see, the truck went on. The guys got out of the truck. They started driving the sugar cane. They didn't chant. They didn't. So Prabhupada said they are liberated. So it means that they are liberated, but not today. They're still going to have to go through the process of devotional service. That gives them, you know the story of Prabhupada when he's in New York, and some bum, we'll call him, I don't know, what do we call him? Unfortunate man comes in, and he's got a roll of toilet paper. And he hands it gives it to Srila Prabhupada, or maybe puts it on his seat. And then he just walks out. And then Srila Prabhupada says, his devotional service has just begun. So it's like that. You know, there are levels of bhakti. What's the first one? Do you know? Shraddha, right? Then, Bhajana Kriya. What is it? Sadhusanga Bhajana Kriya. Then, Anartana Rivati. Then, Nishtha. Then, what? Ruchi. Then, Asakti. Finally, Bhav, Prem, and the stages of Prem. Okay. So now, I'm a very fortunate person. I walked on the beach with Srila Prabhupada, right? I must be liberated too, right? Chanted Hare Krishna with him. I got to take his prasad. I got to garland him. I got to clean his room. I got to, so many things. And the Bhagavatam says that one moment association with a pure Vaishnav is better than any other kind of benediction there is. So we're pretty fortunate, we would think. And yet, if I was going to guess on that scale where I am, like here's Prem over here, oh, let's watch the arrow, Asakti, Ruchi, oh no. Nishtha? I'm afraid not. What's the other one? Anartana, can't talk. Nirvati. There's still a lot of junk in there. So, I don't know, this is kind of maybe controversial in some ways, because somebody, devotees leave it, he went back to Godhead. I'm thinking, really? I might know that devotee. They don't seem to even be in Nishtha, right? So you've got to be what? Rupa Goswami said, you've got to be patient to do this. It's not likely it's going to happen in one life. Although one devotee told me once, this is a Prabhupada said, so, he said that Prabhupada said, my disciples, there's a key word, disciple, my disciples go back to God after 3 lives. So I was thinking, well, maybe that means first life you're a neophyte, second life you're a madhyam, third life you're uttam. It makes some sense, right? It's possible. So anyway, here we have Hiranyakashipu. He doesn't appear to be a devotee, but he is. Is Hiranyakashipu in Maya? What do you think? He's got it. He's not in Maya. Or you could say he is in Maya, but what kind of Maya? Yogamaya, exactly. I don't know if you remember, because you passed it a little while back, 7.135. Srila Prabhupada in purport, he says that the activities of a devotee, or the appearance of a devotee in this world, is akin to the appearance of the Lord. His activities are not governed by Mahamaya. They're governed by Yogamaya. Pretty far out when you see what he's doing here, right? He's burning villages. He's cutting down trees. He's killing Brahmins. He's killing cows. What else did he do? So many obnoxious. He kicked the demigods out of their homes. He went and sat on Indra's throne, and Indra couldn't do a darn thing. He had to just let him do it. He was so powerful. He did some other kind of remarkable things. He spoke Atmatattva to the relatives of Hiranyaksha, right? Hiranyaksha had died, and he said, "Oh, don't worry. You're not this body. The soul is eternal." A little astonishing to hear from it, but Prabhupada says in a purport that the demons know that there's God. If we take that word atheist, theist means you believe in God. Now we put that little negative thing in front of it. Atheist means we know there's God, but we're opposed to him. Atheist. Of course, some atheists don't know. They're just stupid. But most people with a little tiny intelligence, they know that there's God. Must be God. But what's going on here in our conditioned life? There's a statement by Jiva Goswami, if I can remember it, in the Sandarbhas. I'm not sure don't remember which one. He says, transcend the act of filtering experience through the screen of prior assumptions, mentally constructing an assumed reality. He said, in conditioning, the intelligence, mind, and senses function as the primary instruments of ignorance, because they are illumined only by the energy of ignorance, which is of the nature of apparent or assumed reality. With the entrance of the Chit Shakti, one can apprehend what is beyond the gunas and function in that reality. So kalpana means that the mental construction of apparent or assumed reality, but basically this entails the filtering of, or the interpreting of reality in accordance with self-identity and belief. So one time I was having a discussion with one of my godbrothers. I was trying to convince him that the material world is a place of relativity, and he wasn't having it for some reason. He didn't like it. He said, "No, the stove in my house is absolutely hot." I said, "Really?" He had a dog. I said, "You think it is as hot for you as it is for your dog?" He had a dog from like Alaska. So the heat for that dog is like, oh God, it's too hot in here. He wants to sit in the snow. If I go to the Arctic Ocean and I jump in, I die. Isn't it? Maybe 1 minute, I don't know how long, but I'm dead if I can't get out of there. And swimming right next to me, a polar bear. Hey, what's wrong with you? Right? What's wrong with you? This is relative. And then my godbrother said to me, "Well, good luck driving on the left-hand side of the street, because in America we drive on the right-hand side of the street." I said, "Well, all I have to do is go to England and I can drive on the left side of the street." So somehow or other he was confusing absolute and relativity. So this idea that we have constructed for ourselves a certain identity. What is your name? Huh? That's a nice name. You could work. What's your name before initiation? Abhishek Prabhu. And you're male, right? And are you somebody's brother? Yeah, you have sisters and brothers, and obviously you had parents, right? It's all false. You're not a real person. That identity you have is not real. It does not really exist. It didn't exist before this body, and it won't exist after this body. My name is Prabhanu Das. Okay, that's good. You know, Prabhanu is one of the 10 sons of Satyabhama. There's the Bhanu brothers, Chandra Bhanu, Brihad Bhanu, Bhanu Bhanu, Prabhanu, Prati Bhanu, like this. But a little more exclusive than that. Pra means to push forward, and Bhanu means Bhanu Nandini, to push forward Radharani to Krishna, right? A little more intimate, Prabhanu. Anyway, my legal name is Paul Allen. Does that sound mundane? It is. And I think I'm male. There's my wife right over there. And isn't it strange? We have 3 children. And I mean, what do I say? We're a nice family. I mean, we're not at each other's throats. You know what I mean? We're not arguing, and we get along. Okay. So from my point of view, I'm going to leave this body, and I'm never going to see them again. I won't know them. Even if we take birth somehow or other in the same place, whatever, even if it was the same family, I would not know them. Because this personality that you see before you is false. That's why we call it false ego. It's not the real ego. So we're trying to develop a real ego. What does that mean? It means that the false ego has to be eliminated. It has to dissolve. I don't remember in the Bhagavatam, but it's described like that as the yogi is going up, up, up. He's dissolving or merging the different elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, into the total pradhan. So that's what we're doing when we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right? Cheto Darpanam Archanam. Bhava Mahadava Agni Nirvapanam. When I was in college, let's see, I think I was 19 probably. And I walk into the student union one day, and there's these 2 freshly shaved brahmacharis with big tilak and dhotis and the whole thing I'd never seen before, right? But I was studying philosophy, and I was very interested to answer questions like, who am I? Why am I here? Why is there suffering? Why do I have to die? Who's God? Is there God? You know, and from the frog philosophers, I wasn't feeling it. Plato, Aristotle, Camus, Sartre. You know these guys? You ever even heard of them? Over there, they're very well known. Camus, Kierkegaard. Anyway, one day in the class, my professor saying, here's what the Buddhists think. Here's what the Mayavadis think. Here's what the Hindus think. Here's what the Christians think. Here's what the Jews think. Who else is there? Here's what the Muslims think. So I raised my hand. I said, so what's the truth? And he said, take your pick. And, you know, I get it, but it didn't satisfy me. So I walk in the union one day, and there's these 2 brahmacharis, and because my head is full of all these things, you know, I couldn't really talk to them, right? But what did I get? A Back to Godhead magazine. And what's the first article in every Back to Godhead magazine? Srila Prabhupada's article, right? And what was the very first, you know, I have no experience in Sanskrit, right? But Prabhupada in the article, it starts out, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam Brahmahadavagni Nirvapanam Shayakra, like that. So I kind of skip that and go down. And he says, meditation means to cleanse the heart. And I think, whoa, that makes sense. A little farther down, what was he quoted? Dharmam Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, right? Religion means to follow the laws of God. Thinking, wow, that's a simple statement, right? I was raised in Catholic school for 9 grades, right? They never told me that. In 9th grade, I asked the nun some question, I remember a question I answered, and what I got back from her is, we don't ask questions. Can you imagine? So, one article of Srila Prabhupada, and I'm down to the temple. I mean, I was sold in the first paragraph. Hare Krishna. This is the process of chanting Hare Krishna. sometimes we used to preach to people. We're chanting Hare Krishna for, so many years. I've been chanting Hare Krishna now for 54 years. Didn't skip a day. Okay? So we used to preach, try chanting Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. See how long you can do it. Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. Can you do it for even a day? That's 16 rounds minimum, right? Donald Duck, Minnie Mouse, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. You can't do it. You can't do it for an hour, I don't think. And nor will any kind of blissful attachment ever be seen in your heart for those are mythological characters. If Krishna is mythological, how come so many people love him so much? I don't believe, personally, you can love a person that's not real. Is that possible? It doesn't make sense to me. So, we have to become extremely serious about it. It's not actually easy. It is a little bit of, I'll say, difficulty. When you read some of the fabulous benedictions that you get by, where is she? She was here. Tulsi Maharani, if you have some Tulsi wood, in the Tulsi Mahatma, it says, part of the Padma Purana, it says, if you have a little tiny piece of wood and you're buried with that and you're cremated, you go back to Godhead. I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty easy. That's pretty easy. But it really doesn't still say you go back to Godhead right then and there. It doesn't really say that. So it's a it's yoga. You ever think you could become a mystic yogi? You know what they do, right? So difficult. And after thousands of years, they get to merge with the Paramatma. So here, sometimes it's stated, and this is another interesting thing, the demons that are killed, they get Sayuja Mukti. Now, maybe you folks know because you're more learned than me. But there's some discussion going on that if you merge into the Brahman effulgence, you're never coming out. And then we know Prabhupada says a lot of times, right? They go up to the stage of liberation and they again fall because they don't respect the lotus feet of Krishna. So you got an answer for that? I'm going to give you my answer, okay? If you go to the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami, there Gopakumar is going through various stages, the heavens and up to, Kumar Loka, Brahma Loka. He makes it to Vaikuntha and eventually he gets to where he belongs. But before, I think, the Kumar position, or somewhere around there, he comes to what's called the abode of liberation. And in the abode of liberation, Gopakumar can see Narayan, but vaguely. Narayan's coming into focus, and kind of out of focus, into focus, out of focus. So that abode of liberation, according to Sanatana Goswami, is the place where people go before they merge. So I'm thinking, what you know that sloka? Aruhya Krichrena, you know the one? You know it? That's it. Very nice. So, so Prabhupada translates that, and from the verse you're going to understand that they go up, but they don't respect Krishna's lotus feet, and they come back down. So I'm just throwing out a theory here, that they go up to that abode of liberation, they don't actually merge, and they come back down, become humanitarians. So, can't remember if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Do you have any questions for me? No? You guys are very learned. Yes, sir. Who, the four Kumaras? They saw Vishnu and they didn't stay. Oh my God, once going, one never returns. Right? And it's a pastime. In pastimes, things are not necessarily rigid. They don't necessarily follow all the rules and regulations. So the four Kumaras, in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, they're described as incarnations of God. You remember that, perhaps? Narad Rishi is an incarnation. The four Kumaras are an incarnation. And they have a station here. They got their own planet, and they got their own sampradaya. And I would answer that and say, well, Krishna wants them here. They could go back to Godhead, but they don't want to go back to Godhead if Krishna wants them here. Right? That's a devotee. The devotee just wants what Krishna wants. Mm-hmm. That's the way I would see that. Anything else? Yes, Arash. Mike.
Comment?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, thank you. So here the description is that the heavenly residents, the demigods who are residents of heaven, they are so much disturbed, and generally people want to go to heaven, but this heaven is so much full of disturbances. The demons are generally making disturbances, and the demigods have to leave the heavenly planets. So here the instruction is given to us that we should not try to go to heavenly planets. We should go to Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, Vaikuntha means disturbance, and Vaikuntha means no disturbance. So this is the difference between heavenly planets and Vaikuntha. Heavenly planets is full of disturbances. Vaikuntha is without disturbances. So this is our constitutional position, that we have to serve the Lord. If we do not come to that point, then we will always be disturbed, whether we are in heaven or we are in this hell or this earthly planet, everywhere full of disturbances.
Achha. There's two Vaikunthas, right? There's Vaikuntha, and you get an extra set of arms, right? And then there's Maha Vaikuntha. Which one do you want to go to? We're Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We want Maha Vaikuntha. I heard in a lecture one time a devotee was saying, if you want to go to Vaikuntha, it's very easy. If you want to go to Braj, not so easy. We're trying to go there. I don't know about you, but I don't feel like I need an extra pair of arms. And I don't know what easy means either, but anyway, the idea was that it's more difficult to go to Braj, to get into that inner circle. And then, of course, it depends on what you like. And then there's four rasas. We don't count one. And there are four rasas, right? So you might want to become Krishna's servant, possibly, although we don't stress that, right? But, you maybe like to try to help, what was it? Patrak, I think. Krishna takes his flute. He's trying to get Krishna dressed, and Krishna takes the flute. He's bopping him on the head with his flute. Well, you might like Sakya-ras. Sakya-ras is headed by Subal. And Subal, he's very intimate. It's described that he can actually enter into the kunjas and help decorate. No, nobody else can do it. That's called Priyanarma Shaka. They're very, very intimate. One time, Krishna wanted to meet Srimati Radharani, and it's difficult because her mother-in-law, what's her mother-in-law's name? Jatila. Jatila is blocking. So Subal comes and says, Mataji, I've lost a calf. I need to find, I think it went in your house. And the calf did go in there, actually. And she says, you can't go in. So, and then he tries to bribe her. I think he told her, I'll give you X number of cows or something. And Jatila is known to be a little greedy. So she said, okay. So he goes into Radharani's quarters and says, my dear Radharani, Krishna wants to meet with you. She says, oh, great, but how am I going to get out of here? And Subal and Radharani are like twins. Her face, his face are the same. And she said, okay, problem, but I have breasts. If we change clothes, fine, but what are you going to do about these? He says, just take the calf and hold it like this, and then you can walk out. This is a pretty intimate pastime that Subal gets to do. So if you're in Sakya-ras, you try to, become a follower of Subal. Then, of course, the highest ras. Although everybody, no matter what ras they're in, they think it's the highest. They're satisfied. You're Sakya-ras. Would you like to change to Madhurya-ras? No, thank you very much. But basically, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, Anarpita Chirim Shirat Karunaya Avatirna Kalo Samarapayitum Munatojala Rasamasa Bhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Tuti Karambasti Pita Sada Hridaya Kandre Swad Bhakti Shriyam. He stressed Munatojala Rasam, which is the Manjari Bhav. The little girls, I think they're mostly like 12, 13 years old. And they're assistants of the older gopis, and especially Srimati Radharani. And they're headed by Sri Rupa Manjari. Right? Notice I did not say Manjari. I said Manjari. If you meet American devotees, watch out. Manjari. Sankirtan. Kopunim. Yeah. There's so many. Ulsi. Anyway, we're Americans. We like to slaughter other people's languages. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I have a question, if it's okay.
Yeah, somebody?
Here, Prabhu. Behind, right behind.
Okay, he was first, I guess. Oh, way back there. Okay.
Harish Prabhu, thank you very much for keeping us involved in a topic that is there is potential for a lot of discussion, and especially the part about you said about the Brahmajyoti part. That was very interesting for me just to think about it, and I just want to kind of continue it in the form of a question. I want to understand, how does Prabhupada describe the difference between a Brahmavadi and a Mayavadi?
The difference between a Brahmavadi and a Mayavadi is envy. The Mayavadis are envious of Krishna. They want to, Prabhupada says, basically kill him. They want to say he's deaf, dumb, blind, because he has no senses, right? He has no eyes, he has no ears, he has no mouth, he can't speak, he's deaf, dumb, blind. They say that Bhagavan Krishna is the perfect form of Sattva Gun. But eventually, Sattva Gun goes away, and so does the form of Bhagavan. And then they like to invent Bhagavans, right? Or they like Sai Bhava Bhagavan, Swaminarayan Bhagavan, blah, blah, blah. So many Bhagavans, with no scriptural backing. Our scripture says, Ete Changsha Kala Pungsang Krishnas tu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Ridayanti Yuge Yuge. So, it's the same thing. That was one thing I wanted to mention, because when Hiranyakashipu takes over the heavenly planets, there's some description there, and Prabhupada in the purport gives a little admonishment to the material scientists, say they can't approach this. And that's another reason I quoted that Jiva Goswami thing, because the whole idea is invented. I am this person, I'm here. So, you know the frog in the well story? Yeah, right? So there's two frogs, one goes to the Pacific Ocean, and the other one is, we call him Dr. Frog, right? The Dr. Frog sitting in his little lily pad in his little pond, and his friend comes back from the Pacific Ocean and says, I just went to the Pacific Ocean. It is huge. It's so big. Well, how big is it, right? Well, you can't imagine. You have to go there. I can take you there, but you can't imagine how big it is. Well, is it this big? No, really, please, you're just speculating. Well, is it this big? And eventually he just explodes, right? Dr. Frog. So all these guys that tell you, well, the moon is just a big dust bowl. There's some rocks there. Of course, they have no reflective properties. But anyway, or now they're into, what are they into? Mars, I think, right? They might have found some water, right? And it's interesting. You'll find a lot of two sides to this. I mean, not just with us, but with other scientists and stuff. I saw a scientist from NASA, NASA, the big American space agency. He's being interviewed by some reporters, and at some point, one of the reporters says, "Oh, Dr. Frog, what about the Van Allen belt? You know what that is? No. It's supposed to be a belt of radiation around our atmosphere, and you can't go through it; you'll be burnt up." So that Dr. Frog from NASA, he answered, "Well, we're still working on that." What? I thought you went there 13 times. You're still working on getting through this radiation belt? Doesn't make sense. A lot of things don't make sense. Like you see the guy coming off of the spacecraft, right? And it's one step for man. I know one step for him and a big jump for. Thank you. And if you look at it, there's a light in his visor. And who's taking the photo? How is he the first guy? And then you can, in some photos, you can even see the lights in his studio thing. They come down in the spacecraft, big, and, it's dust, right? So how come there's no dust on the little lantern? There's no dust. Why not? I read a book once by another NASA scientist, and the title of that book was, "We Never Went to the Moon." So they'll probably just say, "Oh, we fired him. He's a disgruntled employee. Don't listen to him." But one thing he said really stuck out for me. He said they had, according to their own figures, enough fuel to get there, but not to get back. I thought, discussion over. What? They probably changed that by now. Oh my God, you can't trust Dr. Frog. Obviously they're going somewhere, I don't know. I saw some other scientists. In other words, these guys have as much qualification as these guys. But these guys are being paid to say something, and these guys are, another kind of frog. But still, they said that the atmosphere as you go up is, I wish I could remember the numbers, but it was so hot, by the time you got up there, there's no metal or alloy or anything that would survive. It would just finish. So according to their opinion was, they've never been out of the atmosphere. Now, if we go to my godbrother, Dr., what was his name? Sadaputa. No, not Swarabdhamdar. He's also great, but he's a chemist. Sariputta Das. He was a physicist, and he knew that quantum physics and so many. I heard a lecture by him one time, and he was talking about, you can't see Mount Meru, right? And there's this huge mountain going through the whole universe. Where is that? Huh? You can't see it. But we accept it's there, right? Because it's in this book. And Bhagavan Vyas says it's there. Well, Hare Krishna, right? So according to Sariputta, there's dimensions. So they can go in and out. One time I was in Vrindavan with a godbrother. We're standing on the roof of maybe the Gurukul or one of the buildings. And in the distance, not really, really far away, just above the trees, there was a spacecraft. You might think I'm crazy. I don't care. And the craft went like this. Zoop, zoop, disappeared. So if there's some dimensions, it makes sense. Like they know where it is. They go through. They go through a portal, and all of a sudden, there's Ilavritaparsha. There's Mount Meru. You travel up, 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 and you can go to the heavens, whatever you're qualified for. So, I'll tell you this one too. Unfortunately, this is my godbrother. I don't mention his name, but I saw him on Facebook, and he was complaining that, it said that in Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj had 900,000 cows, but it's only 64 square mile area. Where do you put 900,000 cows in a 64, right? You can't do it. It's just ridiculous. He said, well, they should stop, saying these things from our religion, or something like that. Dhammaparad. One of the aparads in the Dhamma is to try to measure it. When Krishna was here, he jumped off a mountain, Prabhupada describes, that was 88 miles high. Where is that mountain? There's no mountain that's 88 miles high on this planet. Is there? Not that they've found. So what's going on? If Krishna wants to jump off an 88-mile mountain, he can do it. Why? Yoga Maya. Everything is conducted by yoga. In Vrindavan, sometimes all the seasons appear at once. Winter, spring, summer, fall, in one place at one time. As he walks, the atmosphere changes, everything. If there's pebbles, they just melt away. The internal energy of the Supreme Lord is not confined by anything. So don't try to make a philosophy like Dr. Frog and say, 900,000 cows in Vrindavan? That's not possible. It is very possible. There's no limit to the number of devotees in Vrindavan. So it's really crowded, right? Like, have you been to the Mayapur temple? You can't move. So there's so many billions and trillions, unlimited. There's no limit to the number of devotees in Vrindavan. So how does it work? How are you going to get darshan with Krishna? How are you going to be in the Kunj and Lalita and Vishaka and Champaka Lata and everybody's there? It's not possible, right? But according to Jiva Goswami, there's prakos, which means you got your own, I got my own, he's got his own. There are dimensions. For God, there are unlimited dimensions. For Dr. Frog, there's 3 dimensions. There are 4, there are 5, there are 20, there are 100, it's unlimited. If you could merge into the super soul, you could go to any universe, anywhere, because they're all in him, right? Take that, Dr. Frog. Zip! Some other universe, some other place. Enter through the Paramatma. Unlimited dimension, and Vrindavan is like that. So don't worry. When you get there, you'll have your own. When Gopakumar got there, Krishna sat him down at the dinner table and basically told him, "You're in Radharani's family." Pretty far out. Achha, anything else? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. What inspired me to keep chanting? Probably chanting, right? And I always feel that I am pretty fortunate because I got to see Srila Prabhupada a few times. The first time I saw him was in 1971. And like any good bhakta, I was in the kitchen washing pots. And my godbrother Narottamananda comes up to me and says, Prabhupada is coming and we don't have enough room for him to stay. Do you know anyone who might be able to put Srila Prabhupada up for 3 days? And I go, boink in my head. We got 2 homes. One my grandfather, and he's alone, and one my mother, and she's alone. So I go to my mom. Mom, if you've ever done anything for me, get Grandpa out of that house and let this Swami, you know what a Swami is, stay for 3 days. Somehow she did it. And Prabhupada stayed in my house for 3 days. So, I mean, I wasn't even initiated at that point. Bhakta such and such. And I was just so taken by Srila Prabhupada, I can't really hardly put it in words, just, I didn't know you could go in. He was talking in a screened-in area, and there's all the big sannyasis and GBCs in there, and I'm thinking, oh, no. So I'm over in the bedroom, but it has windows, and I couldn't hear Prabhupada, but he's just, rubbing his head, and I'm just mesmerized by this gentleman rubbing his head, scratching his nose like this. Finally, his servant, Aravinda, one day, he said, don't you want to go in? I said, you mean I can? So I sat down, and Prabhupada was speaking, and he's about how this material world is just like a dream. He says, like, you can take gold, and you can take a mountain, and put them together in your dream. You got a golden mountain, right? There's a tiger eating you. Oh my God, no. You wake up, where's the tiger? There's no tiger. So this bodily existence is like that, like I said earlier, there's my wife, there's my children, and then I wake up, next life, well, where'd they go? I won't even remember that much, right? Material life is like that. So anyway, then I got to see Prabhupada in New Vrindavan in 1972 for his Appearance Day celebration. And I got to see him in New York in 73, I think. And I got to see him in Mauritius, and I got to see him for 2 months here, Mayapur, Bombay, Vrindavan. So all that, he doesn't waver. He's always Krishna conscious. He always loves it. When I saw Prabhupada in Brooklyn, he's on the Vyasam doing what I did. Jaya Radha, oh my God. Did anybody think it was particularly special when I chanted? No, But Prabhupada, he's looking at the Radha Govinda deities in New York with a face that can only be compared poorly to a mother's love for their child. And his eyes are coming out. He's just looking such affection for the deity. You can't help but be just taken away by such a personality. So I always felt that Prabhupada was like a plane. He's steady. And we're like gliders. We're attached to the plane. And then Prabhupada lets us go. And we're gliding along, But the nature of a glider is, oh dear, it starts cruising back down to earth. So then, it attaches to Prabhupada. Oh, I saw him again. Woo! I'm going up. Now, of course, that's only a few years, right? And Prabhupada, apparently has left us. But sometimes he comes in dreams and gives darshan and whatnot, so. Don't feel disconnected. The books are connection. The Maha Mantra is connection. And if you stick with it, there's always at least some taste. And you can, get off the mark a little bit. Like we were in business. I can't chant Hare Krishna all day or something, right? But I didn't stop chanting either, 16 minimum, okay? Because you remember the taste. I'm going to go back to Prabhupada again. So Kirtananda Maharaj at that time, he was cooking for Prabhupada in the house. And so they served Prabhupada prasad. And one day they gave me the plate. And I went out in the backyard and just sat by myself and honored Srila Prabhupada's Mahaprasad. And I just felt like my consciousness is just going and going, and it doesn't happen a lot, but probably everybody in this room has some mystical experience, right? There's something that you remember, right? I remember we were having a kirtan in our house with a bunch of guests and chanting. It was also Prabhupada's appearance day. And when the kirtan was done, I was just like, wow, And I said to the crowd, I'm convinced, because that kirtan just, I can mention so many, but I'm tooting my own horn, The point is that you get a taste for Krishna consciousness because Krishna gives you some. Remember Narad Rishi in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, and he's a boy and he goes off, and then finally he sees Vishnu, and then Vishnu says, I'm sorry, but you're not going to see me again in this life, right? So something like that he'll give us, the association of Prabhupada, Egad, and then he doesn't, but we remember. And it does drive us on, I think. Is that okay? Something else? Are we late or no? We're all right? Someone else I thought had a question. Yeah.
Is there any matter of intensity of practice? If somebody is very intense in practice,
Krishna consciousness is like driving a car. There's a gas pedal. You can push it. There's a brake. You can push that. You can push it down, go faster. You can let it off, go a little slower. You can put on the brake. It's up to you. Intensity. Yesterday somebody asked the question, how Prabhu or Maharaj, can we become more determined? So in 1972 at that festival I mentioned, Prabhupada said, Prabhupada, how can we become more determined? And Prabhupada's answer you can think about. He said, be more determined. It's like, no details, just be more determined. It's a little cryptic. It's really up to you. Something has to inspire you. You have to pray for it, but you have to be sincere. This is one thing maybe this is too intimate, I consider about myself, because I've prayed so many times, just take it all away, no more Maya, blah, 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 and then Maya is still there, right? So my conclusion for myself is, I'm not very sincere. Otherwise, why doesn't he doesn't want me to be in Maya. So if I pray, oh, Krishna, please take away this Maya. Prabhupada said in one place, somebody asked him, oh, Prabhupada, there's so many obstacles and I don't know what to do. Prabhupada said, with one kick, I can take them all out. So there's no problem on their end, Krishna, Prabhupada. It's on our end. So we have created this false identity and we're attached. Things come up like our oldest daughter has a grandchild that's 3 years old and she's cute as a button. And it's really hard to not be attached to that little 3-year-old. They come around and goo-goo and make nice noises and things. You guys are brahmacharis, But, there's danger. What is that? Param yad vipadam natesham. At every step, Prabhupada said that, it's like your shadow. You turn, there it is. So Maya is always shadowing us. And you have to practice, right? Like if you're brahmachari, or not even if you're a brahmachari, there's a pretty woman. Nope. There's another one. Nope. Oh, another one. Nope. You're not going to meditate on it. Krishna says in the Gita, right? By contemplating the objects of the senses, attachment develops. From attachment, lust, anger, like that. So you have to practice. And that's a determination. Oh, no, I think I'd like to enjoy meditating on this sense object. And if you do it too long, you're in trouble. Right? So it's like, don't do it. Okay. No. But then again, maybe you guys are great souls. You don't have lust in your heart or anything, But for those of us that do, it's like, no. And that works. No. And then what? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Or some service. You got to distract the mind from Maya. And that's not necessarily an easy task, especially in Kali Yuga. Because just like Hiranyakashipu here, he's doing all kinds of nonsense. We got some tiny Hiranyakashipus that are doing all kinds of nonsense. Like our American Mr. Gates, he bought 2 million acres of land in America. 2 million acres. And what does he do with it? GMOs. You know GMO? Genetically modified organisms. So soy and I don't know what else, corn. And then they've modified it genetically. So it's not the same original that God made product. Eat that and see what happens. He's got a program where, I haven't seen it here. The planes are coming overhead at all the big cities and even in countryside in America. All this stuff is coming out of them. And some scientists went out into the field in California and they studied, what is that stuff? It was aluminum. 2 million parts per whatever. And the scientist said, you know how much should be there? 0. And according to the propaganda of this demons that do this is, we're trying to reflect the sunlight back so that the ozone doesn't get destroyed. But the fact is, if you put aluminum everywhere, you're poisoning the animals, the water, the humans, everything. This is called demoniac. And there's so many other things. But tiny compared to, Mr. Gates can't go to heaven and sit on Indra's throne and kick him out or something, He'll be kicked out soon enough. I'm sorry, Bill, to pick on you, but, some rascal stuff. Yes, Mataji. Question. Oh, you need the microphone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My question was regarding this thing that you said that we cannot love someone that doesn't exist. Like Krishna exists, that's why so many people loves him. But there are many cartoons and animation which people like and love. So do they also exist because they actually don't?
I'm afraid I didn't understand the last part of what you said. So many people do what?
Love cartoons, animations
Yeah.
that are made by people's imagination. So you said we cannot love something which doesn't exist. So how do people love these kinds of things which doesn't exist?
Well, one thing, they generally grow up and don't like cartoons anymore. But let's say there's a few people that can hang in there with the cartoons. In the next life they become a dog. Where is love of cartoon? You understand? You can't. Love means it's eternal. Love means it can't be broken. Love means service. You can't serve that cartoon. You can't serve Mickey Mouse. You can serve Krishna, and there's a response. You can't serve something that's imaginary. You can pretend, granted, but it won't last. It will be broken. Is that all right? Okay. So I think I have to end here because we have to leave this morning, and I thank you for the opportunity
Hare Krishna,
to
Prabhuji.
say something about Prabhu. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not through.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is, my father and mother no Navarat Bhakti, no ISKCON Mandirin travel,
मेरी मम्मी पापा ये कहते हैं कि भक्ति मत करो और इस्कॉन टेम्पल कभी कभी जाना चाहिए, मतलब हर रोज नहीं जाना
I
चाहिए.
believe that's Hindi you're speaking.
I will translate. I will translate for him.
Yeah,
Our parents say, don't go every day to the temple.
yeah.
So is the good advice for her or no?
I don't think we can advise that, that you don't go to the temple. What is the reason?
Go to school, learn more.
Go to school, learn. Sounds like typical parent thing. Again, it's up to you. You know, you can go to school and you can get an education, blah, blah, blah. And you can be a devotee. And, you know, maybe your parents would like that. But do you like that is really the question. If you're not interested, then sometimes you just have to say, sorry, parents, with all due respect, but I'm going to Krishna. Do you understand?
Thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, so I really should go. Haribol. Thank you.
Prabhuji, one more question.